Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Really good to see you all. There's only four of us here at the moment. Dr. Chaffee will be joining us shortly. It's good to see you. We have a lot of time today to take questions and talk about all things carnivore. So I just wanted to kind of run through a couple of things and then get everyone to introduce themselves. So I'm going to be facilitating today. So I'll be kind of reading questions and stuff for you. Um, and it would be really nice as you put questions in if you could put a big queue in front so that my aging eyes can find the stuff. And thank you to Sean for facilitating last week. Much appreciated. And I'm Dave. Let's go around and just do a quick introduction, maybe. Sean, did you want to talk a little bit?
Absolutely, man. Hello, everyone. I am Sean, Intentional Carnivore. I'm glad to see you guys. If it's your first time here, we want to welcome you. We're excited that you're here. Wherever you landed today, if you will, go ahead and just hit that like and subscribe button wherever you're at. You're going to be in good company, and you're going to get great content. You're going to get good community because I love these guys and I trust them, and I know that I'm a part of their community, and we've been hanging out for what, man, with Larry and them for over a year. With you guys, this show's been going on for a little over 2 months, and it's been great. So I just want to welcome everybody and enjoy yourself, make yourself at home, and enjoy the show. If you got any questions, like you said, put a cue by it, and we will get to it as soon as possible. And I will pass it off to Mr. Larry if you want to introduce yourself, sir.
Absolutely. My name is Larry. I'm one half of Carnivore Quest. The other half is my beautiful wife, Cassie. And we've had a YouTube channel for 2 years now, documenting our carnivore diet journey, our struggles, our ups and downs. And basically, we built a community of trust and love and people, like-minded people that has just been amazing, and I'm honored to be here with you guys. This is a big deal for me. I love all you guys. I respect you. I love the work you guys do, and this is gonna be cool. How about you, Kip?
So I'm Carnivore Kip. I started Carnivore about almost 6 months ago in a couple days, January 2nd, and I've been on this health journey to lose a bunch of weight, and I've lost like 88 pounds, and it's been a lot of fun. I see Dr. Chaffee just entered the room with us, but anyway, I'm excited to talk with everybody tonight and see how everything goes because we can all learn a lot from each other and just have fun together. This live stream is always about having fun and learning things together and bouncing off of each other. With that being said, how are you doing tonight, Dr. Chaffee?
I'm good. Yeah, thank you very much. Sorry, I'm running a bit late, but it's good to see you guys.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, brother.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got our first question from Douglas Woodfield. Douglas is asking, loving carnivore. I'm in shape, feeling satiated, but losing weight. I'm 154 and I don't want to lose more weight. What do I do? Like I said, I'm feeling full. So you don't want to lose any more weight. Okay. Maybe Sean, you want to?
I mean, one of the
thoughts on that?
My only advice to you is make sure you're eating enough. Make sure you're vital. You're working out. You're active. You're building muscle. You're not, and get your labs tested. It could be something that has nothing to do with what you're eating at all. But just make sure you're eating enough and not, undernourishing yourself. That's the only advice I really have for you, Larry. What you think?
Well, I got to say, Douglas, is I wish I was in your boats. I'm not to my healthy weight yet. I got about 65 more pounds to go. So I really don't have anything to add to that, but congratulations on being on a healthy weight. Absolutely. Kip, what about you, bud?
I'm definitely with Larry on that because I still have probably 200 pounds to lose, or not 200, probably 175 pounds to lose. and I'm working on it every day. So just do what Sean said, and let's hear what Dr. Chaffee has to say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the same thing. I mean, you just need to eat enough, make sure you're eating enough, you're feeling full. Hey, you're feeling full, but it's very easy to feel satiated and feel like you've had enough on a carnivore diet. It's very easy to undereat. And so that's why I say you need to eat meat as long as it tastes good. And so you keep eating and then you feel full, but it still tastes good, or you feel satisfied, you feel satiated, but it might still be tasting good. You might still be enjoying it. And so you should keep eating it. And it might be that you get to a point where it doesn't taste good anymore and you don't want to keep eating. That's fine. Try to eat more than once a day. See if you can, if your body wants something more than that. And I totally agree with Sean. You need to stimulate your body to grow if you want it to grow. And then, you need to lift weights. Doing cardio is a bit counterproductive. You can raise your cortisol, lower your testosterone, lower growth hormone. Whereas if you lift weights or do sprints, that does the opposite. It raises testosterone in men and optimizes testosterone, estrogen in women, raises growth hormone in both, and lowers cortisol in both. And so you will put on healthy weight, bone density, muscle mass, and you'll lose unhealthy weight, which is what we all want. So that can help optimize you. And then you have to eat enough. Your hunger is going to go up. Your demand for food is going to go up. And so you need to stimulate your body and then make sure you're getting enough to eat.
Nice. So we've got a super chat here from Homesick Buckeye. Not wanting to lose more weight is a high quality problem. Yes, indeed. Okay.
I couldn't do lion, man, to be honest with you, because I couldn't eat enough on lion, and I felt myself getting just mad all the time, and I'm like, why am I so aggravated? But the way that I was doing it was just not good. I feel like I was just having to eat hamburger meat, and I was doing it on the grill every day. They were just cooking the fat right out of it, so I was getting literally just the protein fat. So nevertheless, I digress.
I'm just gonna have to step away for 2 seconds, guys. I'll be right back.
All right. We've got one here from Ravin Winter. I've lost over 150 pounds, having issues losing the last 30 pounds. What's your thought on high-fat carnivore approach? Larry, you want to take that one?
I sure will, because actually that's, I've lost 90 pounds so far. And like I said, I got 65 to 70 pounds left to go. And I've been in the stall, I've fluctuated for the past year, 10 to 13 pounds. And I've been thinking the same thing that you're thinking. I'm trying to get 2 meals a day in, and I'm trying to up my fat intake, especially for this month of July. We're doing the BBBE challenge. And I'm also trying to eat a little earlier in the day. Before we would eat lunch, and then a lot of times we wouldn't eat dinner because we weren't hungry. So now I'm trying to eat a little earlier in the morning, get like a late lunch, and then that's it for the day. But you got to keep experimenting. You got to keep trying. Would you say you only have 30 pounds left to go? Good for you. So I'm right there with you. I'm going to be upping my fat, so we'll see how it goes. Sean?
Oh man, that's what I suggest you do. Will it work? Only time will tell, in you, my friend. But that's what I did. I have to speak from my experience a lot of times, especially on stuff like that. And I'm still, let me preface it, because I'm not exactly where I want to be either, but I've lost a pretty decent amount, and I'm happy with where I'm at. But the whole time that I have lost weight, I have added fat to the point of right on the verge. And some days I go over that verge. Trust me when I tell you. And I'm in the bathroom with the fat because I add butter to what I'm eating all the time. I eat fatty ribeyes already. I'm eating eggs with the yolk. So yeah, man, honestly, I would say if you're trying to if it's stuck and it's not working, change something up, give it time to work, and then reassess it. And then you have a good idea if that's working or not, and you can go from there. But give it time to work too, man. So, give it a couple weeks or so is my suggestion. Kit, what you got on that, man? How have you lost almost, 100, almost right at 100 pounds in 5 months?
No, it's right at 90 pounds. it's up right at 90 pounds right now. And I've noticed for me, it's not necessarily the fat is the problem. It was because there was a time where I hit a stall like a month ago. And sometimes it's not that you need more fat. I mean, a lot of times it is that you need more fat, but sometimes it may be those one little thing that you're holding on to that you could cut loose that might help you punch through your stalls as well to get that extra weight off. Like for me, I stopped drinking the drinks like bubbly that had the artificial or the natural flavors in it, and then I also cut out cheese. So maybe it could be the cheese or heavy cream if you're having that, because you didn't really say if you're having those things. Sometimes it can be one little thing that you can tweak that can make a big difference as well. What about you, Dave?
Yeah, and well, I would just agree with everything that's been said, but I'd just like to add support to what Kip just said there. You know, Kip is very good at this. You know, like recommending that you should try cutting those things out, and it often works. I cut out cheese on Kip's recommendation, and the extra weight that I was carrying literally just fell off because what I was consuming, cheese, was causing a little bit of inflammation, I think, and so I lost a lot of water weight very quickly that I couldn't get rid of otherwise. Okay, so thanks for that, Kip. So yes, listen to the man. Okay, so what do we got? How can I stop the cravings at night? Kip, you want to go with that one first?
I don't really experience cravings at night for myself, so I haven't had to fight with that. But you didn't say how long you've been carnivore. So if you've just started, then you're just gonna need to eat as much fat as possible whenever you're eating your food, and eat as much as you want. I would say early on in the beginning, don't focus on how much food you're eating. Just focus on eating the right things, and hopefully, because a lot of times if you get really full on a good ribeye or butter and other things like that, then you won't think about those other things. But usually after you're so many weeks in, or a month or 2 months in, those cravings should be gone. And if they're not, I don't know exactly. Maybe Sean can help you with an idea to fix that.
Yeah, man. Like, thank you for the question. So honestly, I would suggest what I would say with anybody having a craving at any time. Number one, like if you're full of what you can have, you're not going to want anything to eat, including what you don't. A lot of times, that's going to be the first step. Second of all, like Kip said, I don't know exactly how long you've been eating it, so I mean that maybe just something that you got to push through. Um, you know, you better than I know you. So like if you have those cravings and stuff, whatever you're craving most of the time, try to get rid of it. Try to push it out of the house, at least at first anyway, so that temptation is not there. Um, that's going to be my best suggestion to you. But try to stay full, even especially at first, because everybody thinks along the same lines often. Restrict food, whatever. I don't want to gain weight, but right at first, it's critical to eat enough to give your body the nutrients that it needs, and so that you can be full enough to where you're not. Because if you eat enough fat and protein, you're not going to be hungry for anything. I can assure you. And if you are, I have nothing because it's so satiating, and it's gonna curb that appetite. It's kind of like any other way you eat in that regard, because even on the standard American diet, whenever you just stuff all those carbs and everything into your body, you get to the point to where you're like, oh man, I ate too much, and you feel sick. Well, you're not going to be able to eat the same amount eating protein and fat, but it's going to help curb those the cravings. That's my suggestion. Back to you.
Okay, Larry, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, definitely. Baby girl, I got the perfect answer for you because Cassie and I definitely went through this. First of all, if you're not fat adapted yet, you're going to have cravings and just stay full. I mean, that's what we did. But once you are fat adapted, you're still going to have cravings. And like when we would sit down at night, on the rare occasion, we'd actually enjoy a little television. That's when we find we would get cravings. You're sitting down to your favorite show, and we're used to snacking. Cook up some bacon, get it nice and crispy, and put it in front of you and start eating it. It's impossible to overeat bacon. So even if you only eat a few slices of it, or your body will tell you, I've had enough. And that's what we did, and it really helped. With our late night cravings in front of the TV, or if we're playing a board game or something. So that's what I got for you.
Yeah. Very, very good advice from everyone. Okay, so let's have a look at the question from Meatitarians United. How does the cephalic insulin response when consuming artificial sweeteners compare to insulin response when ingesting real sugars in terms of intensity and duration? I wonder if this is maybe a question we should park until Dr. Chaffee is back with us, and maybe he can address that one. So I might just star that, and we'll come back to that one later.
You're going to have to dumb it way down for me, brother. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now. So, I mean, yeah.
Okay. So, hang on. This has jumped. Sorry. I'll just be a second while I'm racing to find the next question. Okay. So, Terza after WLS, she says, now that carnivore is getting popular, the fear-mongering articles are in abundance. Is protein toxicity really a thing? Does anyone have any thoughts on that? Want to jump in on that one?
No.
Sean? No?
Honestly, there's so much stuff going on out there that's just trying to throw people off. And what do you expect? You think it's bad now, give it a little bit longer. I brought the issue up every time I talk to, if I talk with Dr. Berry or Chaffee or even these guys, I'm like, you understand what we're up against, because as long as we're just doing our thing, we're small, whatever, talking to, people in a group somewhere, and the group is small and it's not making waves, then, who cares? But as this thing grows and everybody starts giving their examples and people start seeing that more and more and more and growing, it's going to get real bad. And I mean, you think some of the largest voices in this space only have, like Dr. Berry, for example, probably one of the largest voices in this space, has 2.2 million followers on his YouTube. And that's a lot. But in the grand scheme of things, like, can you imagine when it, you got somebody with 100 million followers, or, it's all over the world, Just look at this show here. You got somebody from Perth, Australia, somebody from Tokyo, a couple old guys from South Carolina, and a guy from Alabama. We're reaching around the world in just this setting right here. So, that's all I can say about that. And as far as the protein toxicity, people say the dangest things. I don't know, honestly, any more than that about the issue. What about you guys? Larry, you got anything on that?
All I'll say is protein toxicity has not been a problem for me. I've eaten a lot of protein the last 2 years, and I feel great. I've eaten a lot of fat, and Sean's right. This as this gets bigger, we're going to see more and more pushback. I mean, it's just inevitable. So that's all I got. Kip.
I'm just a good old country boy, y'all. So I just listen to my body and see how things go. And my body's telling me to keep eating the meat. So that's what I'm going to keep doing. And I'm not that worried about it. But if Dr. Chaffee gets a chance to read the question, he may have a better answer for that.
Yeah. I just like that. It's like, that just reminded me of that. What was that R. Kelly song? It's just like, my mind's telling me no, but my body is telling me yes.
That's right.
So, sorry about that, guys. So I'll just read the question real quick. now that carnivore is getting popular, the fear mongering articles are in abundance. Is protein toxicity really a thing? At a very, very excessive points. You know, you're getting more than like 4.5 grams per kilogram. That's when you start seeing some issue. There's a thing called rabbit starvation or protein poisoning. But I mean, you're talking about massive amounts of protein. It's not even 4.5. Is it 4.5 per kilogram or per pound? It's an insane amount. It's just an amount that you're just not really going to get, and then proportionately more than the calories you're getting from fat or carbohydrates. So, that does seem to matter, if you start using a massive amount of amino acids for gluconeogenesis and energy production. That seems to be a problem, but it's a massive amount. And that's if you're not eating really any fat or carbohydrates at all. So on a carnivore diet, you're not really eating any carbohydrates, but you are getting fat. And, so that it's really not an issue. And it is what, we've been eating for a very long time. You do need the fat though. I mean, that is an important point. Fat is an essential nutrient. It has essential fatty acids you have to have. It has essential fat soluble vitamins that you have to have, and you need them in proportion to everything else. So just remember to get the fat with the lean, and you'll be fine. You won't have any sort of issues. But the good thing about the fear mongering articles is that at least you're on the map. At least it's on the radar, right? So, it was a quote that someone said from Gandhi the other day that I liked, which was, first they ignore you, then they ridicule you, then they attack you, and then you win. And so you just keep moving. So we're at phase 2 turning into phase 3, and because you get like the people saying, oh, this is just such a joke. Now it's turning into attacks, like, oh, this is dangerous, you have to stay away from it. So we're going into phase 3, and I think that's actually a very, very positive sign, because you can't argue with results. There's thousands, probably millions of people around the world right now that are coming to this and fixing their health, fixing their weight issues, but most importantly medical issues, coming off medications, reversing autoimmune diseases, reversing diabetes, and just in general getting so much more healthy, and away from the medical establishment, which is I think a very good thing. I think just people being healthy and not needing doctors is what we should be. For thousands of years, doctors have helped with, injuries, accidents, childbirth and delivery, infectious disease, and, congenital abnormalities, genetic issues, and then poisonings, toxins, and, you get toxic exposure to something, or a snake bite or something like that. That was it. Now that accounts for about 10% of what we do in medicine now. The rest of it is just all chronic disease. And I think of that chronic disease, actually that 5th category, that poisoning. We have this toxic exposure, and we're getting sick because of that. These things didn't just come out of nowhere. They didn't just all this new class of disease came out of nowhere. So, and I think that you just get rid of that exposure, and we go back to that, how it was for thousands of years, where you hardly ever needed doctors unless there was an emergency. And that's exactly how it should be. And so, the more people see that, and the more people come to it, the less they'll be able to deny our truth and deny our reality, so this is just, this is how it is. And, the truth will out eventually. And so I think we're coming into that phase that people are going to be like, okay, there's something here.
Yeah. I got to say something real quick before we move on, just kind of to echo your point. But my chat went out last night on the live show, and I went back in later on, and I noticed that somebody had been making comments. They were attacking and spouting off the normal things you hear, how dangerous carnivore is and all this kind of stuff. And I can't help but think that it's connected. Maybe it's not, but maybe it is. But what impressed me the most is those people that were yelling out all that junk and was attacking me, even when I couldn't respond because my chat was down and I couldn't see. Not one person acknowledged and responded hateful, not a word. And so I do want to shout this community out for that, because that's huge. And guess what? They're going to go away because, like you said, you can't argue with results. And I'll leave it at that. I just want to say, you guys, I appreciate y'all. and I'm proud of you guys. And that says a lot about who you are. You know, you look right past it. You stay focused on mission, and you don't kill them with kindness. You torture them with results. Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I just on this particular point, I'd just like to add something really, really quickly. Around the fear mongering, 20, 30 years ago, this is exactly what they were doing with Atkins and low carb. And now, if you were to say to someone, I'm on a low carb diet, no one blinks an eye. You know,
Yeah.
no one seriously thinks that's unhealthy for you, right? And so, you know,
Well,
yeah,
well.
it's just part of the journey. It's just,
Well, there's a few people that are saying that now. You know, like I haven't looked into too much of what Ray Pete says, but my understanding is that he thinks that keto was bad, or he thought. I think he may have passed away. And then some people, I mean, even in our camp, Saladino thought that long-term ketosis is not a great idea. And then sort of someone who's followed Ray Pete's advice is a guy. His last name is Dinkoff. I don't know exactly what he does, but I'm actually debating him tomorrow on that subject. So on the whole Ray Pete idea that ketogenesis is actually bad for you and it's a stress state and it causes, Cushing's disease and things like that, which is absolutely contrary to the published literature and the displayed results, right? So, I've been on a ketogenic diet of sorts, which is what carnivore is and should be, in my opinion, for going on 6 years now, and 5 years previously. And there's other people who've been doing this for 20, 30 years. Rick Rodriguez, who I've had on my podcast, he's been doing pure carnivore for 40 years. The dude's and he's very slender and healthy. So no, you don't get Cushing's, you don't get cortisol toxicity or anything, or hypercortisolism is what it's called. And in fact, there are study after study after study that show in humans, I'll tell you one of them. So there's one, there was a long-term ketogenic diet study in obese people over 24 months in humans. And they showed they had significant weight loss which was statistically significant at a p-value of 0.0001, which is extraordinary. So if you get 0.05, that's statistically significant. So this is far better than that, right? So it's well under the threshold. They lowered their total cholesterol, raised HDL, lowered LDL, lowered triglycerides. So even then, so they can't even argue the whole cholesterol thing, even though it's not a thing. Blood sugar went down, HbA1c went down, and kidney function improved. And there was one of the quotes in it was, ketogenic diet is known to ameliorate all metabolic complications associated with hypercortisolism. All. So all the problems. So there's a marginal rise in cortisol in some studies, mostly in animal studies. In the human studies, it's a mixed bag. So there are some that show a slight increase in cortisol, and there are others that don't show any increase in cortisol, a number that don't show any increase in cortisol. And there was one that followed people for 8 weeks, and they showed a significant reduction in cortisol. So, and it's been theorized that people who have a slight marginal increase in cortisol from going keto, it's actually a rebalancing. That's actually their cortisol should have been higher, because there's a known suppression of cortisol in metabolic syndrome, which 90% of Americans have at least one metabolic issue, right? So metabolic syndrome is very common. And so when you get away from that and you fix metabolic syndrome and you fix your diabetes, well, your cortisol goes up a little bit. That's a good thing, And if you go back to just first principles, what kind of animal are we biologically? What are we? What are we supposed to eat? Well, we're supposed to eat meat. We're not supposed to eat carbs. There's no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. That's absolutely established. There are entire civilizations that don't eat, haven't eaten, and don't need carbohydrates generation after generation. If it's required, then that doesn't happen. And so, it's and that's recognized by many international medical boards and bodies as well. So, the idea that you have to have carbs, well, we know that that's not true. And so, our natural state is one without carbohydrates. That's the natural state of nearly every animal on the planet. So cows, they eat grass, they eat fiber, but they don't get glucose from that. Their fiber eats their bacteria eat the fiber and they absorb fat and protein, right? Lions eat gazelle and they get fat and protein. We get fat and protein as well. That's normal. And so if you're in a metabolic state where you're getting fat and protein, that's normal. That's the normal biochemical state. And so you're saying, well, but the cortisol is slightly higher. Fine. That's what it's supposed to be, because you're eating what you're supposed to eat and your biology is doing what it's supposed to do. And so, yeah. So there are some people saying that, but, and, they even apparently this conversation with Dinkoff, he was on with Dr. Mercola, and like swayed him to the other side. Oh, I've got to start eating carbs again. I'm like, all right. I mean, I don't know. That's sort of blowing with the wind, I think. But anyway, yeah. So I'll be talking to him tomorrow anyway.
Where's it going to be at, man?
It's going to be on someone else's channel. It's not live. I think we're recording it, and it's on a guy it's a guy, Brian Grin, Gryn. And I did a podcast with him before. He had me on as a guest, and he's had this gentleman on, I think, as well. And so, it's just a friendly thing. We're just going to, talk about this sort of stuff. And so, at the end of the day, like, my cortisol is normal. All my patients, I'd never check cortisol unless there's a reason to. But my patients who have been on carnivore long term, none of them, for the ones that we've checked cortisol, none of them have raised cortisol. None of them, and I'm not getting central adiposity. I'm not gaining weight. He's saying that, you start gaining weight and you start not being able to lose weight. No, well, there's people on keto that have stubborn weight loss and can't really lose weight. There's a lot of reason for that. What are you eating on a ketogenic diet? Are you eating a bunch of seed oils? Omega-6s are known to cause obesity and store in your fat cells and cause mitochondrial disruption, insulin resistance, and other sorts of major issues that, Dr. Chris Kenobi wrote about in his book Ancestral Diet Revolution, and just goes. It's a masterclass on how toxic seed oils are. And a lot of people on a ketogenic diet, they're still eating a bunch of plants and seed oils, because they're trying to up their fat, and they're not only doing it with animal fats. Also, there's just tons and tons and tons of plants that contain lectins, and there are many different lectins that can actually bind to your insulin receptors more tightly, sometimes up to 5 times more tightly than insulin does, right? So you get the same insulinogenic effect. It also binds leptin, so you end up with leptin resistance, and that's definitely going to make it difficult to lose weight, and going to screw with your satiety signals. You're going to screw up your metabolism, things like that, because of the insulin. So or for the insulin effects that lectins can have. And so this is why you find when people go from just keto, whatever keto, to carnivore keto, that's when they crest that last hump and lose the rest of the weight that they had to lose, and really get a lot better. And that's, a lot of the carnivore converts now are people that have been doing keto for a long time. They start seeing this and going like, oh, okay, it's not just carbohydrates that are bad. There's actually other things that are bad as well. I need to get rid of those things, and they get fantastic results. So I see that story every single day, all the time, in my DMs and comments and things like that. People, maybe people can comment here. If people are in that category, they were keto for a while and then they went carnivore and had even better results. Please comment. Let us know that was you too. And and again, when people are on a carnivore diet for long enough, they don't put on weight. It's literally the opposite. So, that's it. It doesn't matter what your studies say and what your theory says and all these sorts of things. What matters is results. What is actually happening to real people in the real world? And if that doesn't fit with the observed phenomenon, it doesn't matter, what study you have. And a ton of these studies, one of the things he's saying too is that sugar is actually not bad for you. That cane sugar is actually, good for you. It's not a big deal. High fructose corn syrup is really bad, but sugar no, that's fine. It's like, dude, they're exactly the same. Like they're like chemically
Right.
identical, and then he says that like, oh, if you look at sucrose, it's very similar to the composition of honey. And there's this study on honey that says it doesn't, that actually improves, glycemic control. Well, there are other studies that show that honey makes it worse. But actually, sucrose is not all that close and similar to honey because sucrose is just the sugars, right? High fructose corn syrup is just the sugars and nearly exactly the same complement, right? Sucrose is 50-50 glucose fructose. High fructose corn syrup is 53% fructose, 47% glucose, or 55-45, right? So like that's almost identical. And honey can have way more fructose than even high fructose corn syrup. It varies depending on the type of honey you get, and it has thousands of other chemicals as well. They're all nutrients for the bees, right? And those can act as nutrients for us as well. And so this is why you get some health benefits from honey, even though it has sugar in it as well. So to try to make that false comparison, and if sucrose is really similar to honey, and so therefore we can look at honey studies, well then high fructose corn syrup is actually closer to honey than sugar is because there's more fructose in it. And so it's just a weird argument to make, honestly. But yeah,
So
we'll see how.
can I just point out this super chat from Alia? She got $9 for Dr. Chaffee singing. Made my week. So maybe there's room for a series like Carnivore Karaoke or something like that. So, but I had a heart attack when I first saw it because, and thanks for clarifying, it's $9 because I saw the numbers at the top 40,000 and I was thinking you'd mortgaged your house because you had Dr. Chaffee singing a song.
That's funny.
So, okay, so let's go to another question. Jen Blakely says, how do you deal with the holidays around non-low carb or non-carnivore family? I can already tell that they will try to offer me dessert or carbs. Sean, you want to start with that one?
Oh man, my family, all my family except for like 2 people now eat carnivore, but nevertheless, beyond the point. They saw what happened to me. But I would suggest just sticking to your plan, eating, or just not going. Honestly, I know that sounds crazy, right? But like, if they don't respect your boundaries enough to try to help you in the journey you're on, then the best thing you could probably do is get full on steak before you go, or whatever way that you eat. Fill up on that, then you can go hang out and have the fun. It doesn't have to be about the food. Does that make any sense? Hopefully, that that's what I would do. That's what I did. I would, and I still do that to this day, and I don't really struggle anywhere close to what I used to struggle as far as being tempted to eat off plan. But I mean, I eat before I go because I just don't check to see what we're gonna have, and I just eat, go, have fun, and don't really associate it with the food at all. So if you want to live like nobody else, you got to live like nobody else. Larry, what you got?
Oh, we lagging?
You see me? You got it?
Yeah, I can now.
Go ahead, Larry.
Oh, cool. How did the holidays? Well, I'll tell you, this last holiday season, Cassie and I hosted a challenge on our channel where for 6 weeks, we decided to loosen up the reins a little bit, and we incorporated things like, Cassie did a bunch of recipes that weren't strict carnivore, and that really helped. Like Kelly Hogan's Oopsie Cake for dessert, things like that. And the previous year, we tried to stay really, really strict, and we ended up falling off the diet. The food addict, in us reared its ugly head, and I ended up gaining 80 pounds from from Thanksgiving until February. I gained 80 pounds in 3.5 months. So the following year, we learned from that mistake, and we just loosened up the reins a little bit. And our entire community lost 1,500 pounds during the holidays. But the really cool thing was a lot of people didn't gain any weight. Like during the holidays, I gained 1 pound, and a lot better than 80 pounds the previous year. And Cassie didn't gain any weight. She was at 0. So it was a huge victory for us. And I mean, accountability and, the feeling of community. And we loosened up a little bit. We enjoyed some cheese, like she had a charcuterie board on Christmas. And, we really had to change our mindset, just because for us, we just couldn't stay strict when we had family around, people were celebrating. So we just loosened up a little bit. So maybe give that a try. How about you, Kip?
Well, when you're someone that's in the situation that I was in at almost 500 pounds, and I'm still on my weight loss journey, I'm still the biggest guy in the room in this chat, and so I have to remind myself, hey, guy, like you need to take this stuff seriously. It doesn't matter if it's holiday or Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever. Like, do you want to live and be around for your daughter one day? Is it really worth it? Because I was so addicted to carbs that, like, if I allow myself to just be like, oh, Christmas is coming up, so I'm just gonna, cheat for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and all this stuff, then there's no telling what might happen after that, honestly. So I just have to tell myself, like, hey, you've got to be serious. And people say it all the time in their videos about carnivore. They say, remember your why. In those times, think about why you're doing this. And hopefully you have a good enough why that'll help keep you on track. And a bunch of y'all that follow my channel, y'all know I smoke meat all the time. And there ain't no other food that's at the family event that's better than any of the smoked meat. So I can eat my brisket that's smoked or whatever, and my prime rib or whatever, and then they can eat whatever they want, and I'm fine with that. And people in my family, they know the severity of the situation I was in, so they know to not constantly tempt me to try to eat the things that I used to eat, because they can see the results. They can see the benefits that I've already gained from starting this carnivore journey. And so at this point, they fully support me, and they're like, wow, just keep doing what you're doing. So it doesn't matter what day it is, if it's a holiday or whatever, you just need to stay true to what you're doing. What about you, Dr. Chaffee?
Well, I think that's all great advice. I mean, for me, I had a very strong reason why. I mean, I from my background of just seeing just how toxic this stuff was, and I was just like, I have absolutely no interest in eating any of that garbage. The best part about the holidays for me is that there's generally a buttload of meat, and that's like always the thing that I wanted to eat anyway. And so even when I was a kid, before I knew any of this stuff, that's what I was going for. I was going for the turkey. I was going for the roast. I was going for the meat. That was all that I wanted anyway. I sort of ate the other things because sort of expected to, and then maybe like the stuffing or something like that at Thanksgiving. You get that and have a lot of meat sauces and gravy and stuff like meat soaked bread. So that's fine. And so I get on top of that, but that was generally what I wanted anyway. Was just the meat. 75, 80%. Probably 90% of what I would eat most holiday seasons anyway was just the meat. That's what I always wanted. And so it was easy for me to just focus on that and just have it be 100%. And, and we would have other things around, and that's fine. And, for the first couple of years, it was a bit funny because you're just used to snacking. You're just used to picking things up and just putting it in your mouth because you're bored. And so I remember there was, they had like a vegetable platter out for guests. I and my parents were then carnivore. I think that was like the first sort of Christmas or whatever, that we were having people over, that we were doing this. And I was just sitting there talking to my mom as she was preparing things. And like, I just picked up a piece of cauliflower and just started chewing it. And her eyes just went wide. She said, "That's poison." And I'm like, oh my God. I just like spit it out. I'm like, what the hell was I doing? I was like, I didn't even want to do that. I was like, remember in my head, I was like, well, this tastes like shit. And like, my mom was just like, oh God, blah. I'm like, what the hell was I doing? It's just a mindless thing. But then when then when you're thinking about it, you're just like, okay, I'm just going to eat the meat. And that can help. There's a lot of meat. There's generally a lot of meat in these places. So just focus on that, try to eat that. If you feel that, making something like, like a keto, carnivore adjacent sort of thing. Maria Emmerich has tons of carnivore recipes that just use like dairy and things like that. And they can certainly help mix things up. That can be an option as well. And and I think that remembering your why, like this is what I want to do. That stuff's not healthy for me. I don't want that in my body. I want to lose weight. I want to get better and do all these sorts of things. That's a good thing to remember as well. And then it's usually pretty easy. Most families will maybe be a bit weirded out by it at first, but like Sean was saying, like his family saw his results and they're like, hey, I want that for you. In fact, I want that for myself. And so they sort of followed suit and supported him. And that's generally what I've seen as well with my family and friends, is that at first it's like, really, is that what you do? And you explain why you're doing it, and they go, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. Whether or not they want to do it, they generally don't give you shit for it. And then if you're just full of meat and your stuff, generally, it's like, oh, some dessert. The urge and compulsion isn't really as strong, and so that can help as well.
Awesome. Okay, so we've got some super chats there. Thank you very much for those. And Dr. Chaffee, we're saving a question for you from
I told him
United. How does the cephalic insulin response when consuming artificial sweetness compare to insulin response when ingesting real sugars in terms of intensity and duration?
Oh, that's a good question. As far as intensity and duration, I'm not exactly sure, but because it would obviously depend on what you're eating, but there are some studies that show that you can get reactive hypoglycemia after eating artificial sweeteners with no sugar, because you're just sending this sweet signal to your brain, and your brain is responding by releasing insulin. And so you release insulin, but you don't have carbs coming down the pipe. And so you get that metabolic change where you go into a fat storage metabolism as opposed to a fat burning metabolism. You're not able to produce blood sugar. You shut down gluconeogenesis and all these sorts of things. And so you end up getting low blood sugar, and you end up feeling, sort of crappy from that. And that can give you sort of carb cravings and make you, sort of eat things that maybe you shouldn't. Or how long that lasts, that's a good question, but it's something that, the insulin itself, that has a long half-life. And so depending on how much you eat and how much insulin you produce, that can actually stay up for a day or so until it starts coming down and you start being able to functionally process your own carbs and make your own carbohydrates and ketones again. It does seem to be that there are a lot more effects on your body and physiology from these artificial sweeteners than just a sweet taste. It's not a free, it's not a free taste. There's nothing free that you put in your body. It all has a chemical effect and response in your body. And I've spoken to people. They've found that they get actual withdrawals, like drug withdrawals from artificial sweeteners. And there's a guy who I've become friends with who's just sort of, gone a carnivore and followed me, from the beginning. I've had him on my podcast, Josh Rogalski. He works in, penitentiary system as a guard. And he was saying that, he sees a lot of people with chemical addiction and drug addictions, and like his whole life, he's sort of thinking like, wow, like why are these guys doing this? They obviously they're not trying hard enough. There's something wrong with them that they can't beat this addiction. And he's saying like, Jesus, I'm having trouble just getting off artificial sweeteners, and he's getting actual withdrawals, and he's like feeling just absolutely wrecked and miserable 4 days after not eating or using these artificial sweeteners and these sweetened drinks. And he's like, Jesus Christ, I get it now. Like this sucks. And this is not even like a real drug. It's artificial sweeteners. So they're not good for you. They're doing harmful things in your body. In fact, there was a recent study that my brother showed me in mice. So, who knows how that translates to humans, but it was on fertility rates with stevia. And they were giving mice the equivalent of 1 can of soda in a human, right? So much smaller amount in a mouse. And the control group, had a 100% fertility rate. It was just like they mated, they, would make a litter of live babies, right? So 100%, right? Very healthy. In the experiment group, they gave them just an equivalent of a can of diet soda, and it dropped their fertility rate by 55%.
Oh, wow.
Right. So, so like this stuff has a major, major, major effect in your body. It's not just like, oh, hey, it's a sweet taste. Oh, that's nice. And it's free. It doesn't have carbs in it. No, nothing's free, so it's something to think about. So there's, it's not really understood exactly what all of these things do. And there's different artificial sweeteners, and they're going to have different sort of chemical responses in your body. So I think the best advice is just to avoid the hell out of them and keep them out of your system, because we know that they're doing something. They're at least kicking off an insulin response potentially, but even if they don't, it's a chemical, and you're putting some random chemical in your body and you don't actually know exactly what it's doing, but it's most likely bad. It's not good. Certainly not good. It's not something that's going to benefit you and benefit your health. That. And so, for me, I don't want to put anything in my body that's not going to actually benefit my body and my health. And so, something to think about.
Cocaine and heroin don't have carbs in it either, right? I mean,
that's it. Free. Cocaine is definitely keto. It's not carnivore, but it is keto because they can do plants.
So just to do a couple of signposts now. We've got about 30 minutes left on the live stream today. There are currently 665 people combined on the live stream. And if you smash the like button, if you haven't already, that's going to bring even more people in. So please go ahead and smash the like button if you haven't already.
Do it.
Okay, so Hervé Guillot, aka Herv Gillot, says, for the streamers here, can you elaborate about consuming alcohol when doing a carnivore diet? I don't. Part of the reason I'm on carnivore was because I wanted to give up alcohol. Larry, how about you?
Well, I was an alcoholic for about 10 years, and I've been sober 8 years now. So I don't consume alcohol anymore. Thank God I broke those chains. But I have had a similar question from a lot of people in our community. And alcohol's poison, man. I mean, I would just avoid it, and that's all I got. So I don't miss it one bit. And I thank God every day it's out of my life. So, Sean, what about you, man?
Yeah, man, I don't miss it either. I don't drink it. And I learned a long time ago, first of all, don't drink your calories, Secondly, I had an issue with alcohol before in my life, and that's really the reason why I stay away from it. So it's just not on the plan. I've never seen alcohol. And it's not even really from a nutritional standpoint, even though I think the case can definitely be made for it. But it's just that all I've ever seen alcohol do is lead to issues in people's life. And if it doesn't benefit in my life, if it doesn't take me to my goals and where I need to be, honestly, I just don't want it in my life. And that involves, I made a post today on my Facebook about that, this involves, people, ideas, goals, nutrition, food, whatever. If it doesn't benefit you and it doesn't take you where you need to be in life, why do we keep hanging on to this kind of junk, And that's kind of where I'm at in my walk right now. And I digress. I'll go into it when we have more time. But yeah, that's where I'm at with the whole alcohol thing. I think it's not going to get you where you want to go. It's going to take you further than you want to go if you can continue with it. And it's just not worth it, man. So much better off. Kip, what you think, man? Do you drink, Kip?
No, I don't drink anymore. I'm sensing a trend here that all of us pretty much have kind of quit drinking for the most part so far. I quit drinking like 4 years ago, or no, about 6 years ago now, and my life has been better because of it. I make better decisions, and so I wouldn't recommend it to anybody to drink. So that's just the way I feel about it. Regardless if you're on carnivore or not, drinking, especially
Mm.
drinking all the time, is not a good idea. So we're 4 out of 5 so far for people that's quit drinking. So let's hear what Dr. Chaffee has to say, and he can give us the dirt on if he's partying and drinking every weekend.
Yeah, no, I mean, I quit drinking a couple of weeks after my 21st birthday. You know, sort of the thrill was gone. I drank because it was sort of a rebellion against, against, my parents in a way. You know, they were very much against that, and that was sort of, something I could do and feel like, oh, I'm doing something, exciting. And going to bars with my rugby team, they would sneak me into bars and things like that, or we go up to Canada where I was legal, and that was fun. That was fun and exciting because I wasn't supposed to be doing it. And then literally, like the day I turned 21, I went to a bar and I was just like, oh yeah, hey, I'm allowed to be here now. I'm legal. I can come in here. And like instantly, it just all the excitement for the night just fell away. And I was like, I've been coming in for 3 years. I was like, what am I getting so excited about? And it was just literally, it was just dead to me. And I just didn't care. And then I got, actually probably very fortunately, I got pneumonia around that time. It was January, my birthday's, in January. So dead ass winter in Seattle was miserable. And so I always get sick, or I always got sick before I went carnivore. And so I had pneumonia. I was coughing up blood. I was, playing in the premiership with Seattle Saracens up in Canadian Premiership. And, I had like 9 people, just going after my spot. I'm like, nope, can't afford to be sick. And so I stopped. I was on medications, and I had to stop drinking on them. And so I felt good. I played that weekend. Everything was great. And I was like, okay, great. I can go out and drink with the team, because that I still enjoyed, just that social aspect of drinking with the team. And so I went out and drank that night, and again, I was full blown sick the next day. I'm like, okay, I can't do this. I have to be fully better before I do this again. So it was about a month, and it felt really weird. And at first, I went out the next week and I felt really self-conscious. I was like, oh my God, this feels so weird. And then the next week after that, it was less weird, but it was still weird. Third week, it was about neutral. I just didn't really care one way or the other. Fourth week, I actually preferred it. I was like, I'm having more fun. I'm talking to people. It's hilarious to watch them, and mess with them while they're drunk and I'm sober. I can drive home. I'm not wasting hundreds of dollars, because I always had just a very high tolerance anyway. I could go, 2 years without drinking. It'd still take me 20 damn drinks to get drunk. It's a bloody waste of time for me. And so that I actually preferred that, and I was playing so much better, and I was recovering so much faster. I'm like, okay, I just have to just do this the whole season, and I had a great season. And I was like, okay, I'm just not drinking during the rugby season anymore. So I had already started with that, and I already saw that benefit on carnivore. Yeah, most people don't drink. It is a plant. It is a toxin. The whole purpose of going carnivore is that you're eliminating these toxins as much as you can. And so a lot of people do stop drinking. Now, the problem with that is that if you need to bend, not break with these sorts of things. And so some people will drink occasionally, and then they'll just go, well, I guess that's it. No, I guess I can't do carnivore. I wasn't strong enough. And they'll just go back to doing everything they were doing before, which of course isn't the case. You can just, just because you drink doesn't mean you have to eat a whole bunch of crap. It's better to have a drink every now and then and not eat all that crap than to drink all the time and eat all the crap too. Right. So some people do drink occasionally, the long-term carnivores and things like that, but they generally stick to like hard alcohol, like vodka or whiskey or something like that. No mixers, and again, it's the same thing. You're just trying to eliminate most of the crap out of there. Wine has tons of tannins and other sorts of things in there that you don't want. Sugars as well. Beer, just tons of garbage in there, and obviously mixers with sweets and sugars and all that sort of stuff. You will find that it knocks you back. Like there is a price that you have to pay. I noticed that it takes about 3 to 4 weeks for my energy levels and my exercise tolerance is back to where it was before.
Wow.
That's a big hit, you know. And so if you're feeling amazing all the time and then you don't feel on top of your game for a month from just not even getting hungover, like I wasn't, maybe, I mean, less than once a year I'll drink, you know, and it's, you know, just like some vodka or something like that on, like, you know, but like, it's like, I don't know. I don't think I've drank for probably 2 years now. And, you know, the last time, you know, it was like at a wedding, and, you know, and it was, you know, just an occasion. And so, you know, I had some vodka and things like that. And I just felt sort of tired and not on my game and wasn't able to work out properly for a month. And it's just like, okay, well, that wasn't worth it. You know, so, you know, when you see that and you see that difference, it becomes less and less desirable. And you actually prefer to be out in social situations without drinking. It's not that big of a deal when you get used to it.
7-8 position.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
position.
yeah. My rugby position. Yeah, so I played open side flanker and 8-man most. So back row, I played, you know, blind side flanker sometimes too. My favorite was open side flanker. I ended up playing a lot at 8 because you need someone who knows how to play 8. It's just a very important position. You need someone who knows how to play 7 too, but at 8 it would just piss me off if the person at 8 just didn't know what they were doing. And so I would literally, like, in the middle of a game, you know, if they weren't controlling the ball well or they weren't attacking well, you know, off the base of the scrum, like I would just tell them, like, okay, hey, you take flank this time. I'm taking this at 8. I would just literally kick them out of their spot, and then I'd take the ball and, you know, like make a break and score a try, and like that's what you need to do, you know. And so it would just bug me. So those were my main positions. Were in the back row, and then I played a lot of 7s as well. And you know, I was fast enough that I could do that. And so sometimes I play in the centers as well, just for fun, just to like mess with people, because like I was so used to, like, you know, like the breaks that I would make would be like I'd have to like crash through like 5 people and just break all these tackles and just, you know, macerate people to, you know, to break through the line. You're out in the center, you've got one dude trying to attack you, or 7s, you got like one small dude trying to attack you. Good luck.
And you're 6'2". They don't know that. They you know, a lot of them probably don't know that.
6'3". Yeah.
Oh, 6'3". Okay, I thought it was 6'2". My bad. Yeah, but I mean, you know, how is that
who's counting? You know?
Yeah, I mean, like,
yeah. Well, you know, it's yeah. So it's you know, 7s is great because, like, you know, you just have so much open field. It's just a track meet. And so for a long time, it was like, you know, smaller guys did really well. These small, quick, you know, jinky guys that could just ditch around. And so, you know, like generally, like the bigger guys, like you had to be big, but you had to be fast, right? So, you know, because you're going against, you know, a lot of smaller guys that are just real speedy, and like if you're just a shade slower than them, like they're just going to get by you, because there's only 7 people on full rugby pitch, which is wider than a football field, right? So and so your defensive line is only 6. It's only a 6-man front and a fullback, right? And so you've got to like shift from side to side to side to side to cover. You have to cover 2 people. One person has to cover 2 people, right? And if you're in the middle, you might have to cover, you know, 3 people. And you know, so it's very, very, very demanding. You know, you have to, and there's like maybe 20 yards between sort of each player sometimes, you know, maybe 10, 20 yards. And so, you know, there's big gaps. And so if someone just makes like a little break on you and they're through, they're gone. And then, like, you know, your fullback either, you know, pinches them down, you can track them down, or they score a try. So, you know, you have to be fast enough. And so, you know, it used to be like, you know, all the little speedy guys would do it. But then, like, you know, you had started getting larger people that were fast enough, you know, like myself and others who could start doing that. And now it's sort of growing into that. Now you're getting bigger, stronger, faster guys doing it. It sort of changed that. And the Islanders, like, oh, Jesus, like some of those guys, like the Fijians and things like that. I mean, Fiji is always one of the top countries in the world in the international competitions, because they're big ass dudes. They have insane ball handling skills, and they are fast as shit. And so it's like, it's you know, and they're hard. They are hard men and women as well. They play, and so it's just, you know, big hits, big contact, and they're fast as shit. So it's sort of a different game now, but yeah.
Cool.
I'm just
Okay,
going to say, guys, I'm very sorry, but I have to run because I have another meeting. So at 10, so I have to
See you
bounce.
later, Dr. Chaffee.
It was a pleasure, guys. Looking
thank
forward
you
to
so
seeing
much.
Take care.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. See you guys.
Bye.
Take care, brother.
Bye.
See ya.
Okay,
How the party
so
really starts.
so guys, we've got about 15 or so minutes left. Rick is asking, has anyone besides me made taco shells from chicken, eggs, and cheese? I haven't. How about you, Kip?
No, I haven't. I try to stick with just regular simple things like meat, and I try to keep it as simple as I can. What about you, Larry?
Charger Mopar, what's up? Yeah, I definitely have made taco shells from just cheese, not chicken eggs. This was back when we were on the ketogenic diet, and they were delicious. Very easy to overeat, but yeah. So not on carnivore though. Yeah, in keto, it was definitely one of our staples. Sean,
Man, listen. You know I ain't cook. I can burn water. No, I haven't made the taco shell. I have actually. My wife, not too long back, bought some of the Egg Life wrap things, and I tried those, and I thought they were okay. You know, I
Yeah.
thought they were pretty good, but yeah, I haven't tried that. I just heard an ambulance stop somewhere outside. That's unusual for out here in the sticks. I do want to mention the super chat. I don't know if Dave saw it or if because I don't know. I'm still y'all bear with me with the technology, but I do want to recognize Allfather had a super chat. It says supporting my carnivorous brothers with my favorite surgeon. We have something else in common: a love for Thomas Sowell. Oh, there you go. You got it. Yeah, I didn't know if it wasn't. So there was a few that went up a while ago, but I'll be signing up to his Patreon soon. Be well. Thank you. I appreciate that. I didn't know if the super chats on my chat were not showing up. There was a few that went by a while ago, or if you just see the ones on your channel with the way that we have to do the lives. But
yeah, no, they all come up start. That one only that came up about 4 minutes ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, awesome. But
Yeah.
yeah, thank you. Appreciate that, you guys.
Now I've got there's a really important question here that is going to require some really heavy thinking, guys.
Uh-oh.
Pee smells like meat. Is that a good thing? Larry, what do you think?
I have no idea. My pee has never smelled like meat. Man, when I first get into ketosis, it's got a pretty rank smell. Really rank actually. And once I'm fat adapted, seems to clear up, and I don't have a problem. Peter, I've never actually heard that before, brother. Pee smells like meat. That's crazy. What about you, Sean? Your pee smelling like a ribeye?
Man, I'm gonna tell you right now. I'll be honest with you. I have never really got like. I mean, if it had a real pungent odor or something, maybe I would notice it. But I've never been close enough to it to smell it. You know, if I smell my pee, bro, we getting some candles or some. I'm gonna get bougie on you for a minute. But honestly, yeah. Like used to back in the day, I would smell asparagus after I would eat asparagus, though. No kidding. But I've never smelled meat in my pee or whatever. I don't know. I can't say it's a good thing or a bad thing, but maybe it is a good thing. Maybe that you're figuring out, hey man, I'm eating so much meat is coming out every orifice of my body. Carnivore do that to you, buddy. Kip, what about you, man? Your pee smell like meat?
I was just gonna say, come on, Peter. I mean, be a man. Real men's pee's supposed to smell like meat. No, it's not I've never had to deal with that.
Yeah.
I've never had to deal with that personally, or I've never actually got down there and sniffed it. But I mean, I wouldn't worry about it too much. But I mean, if you are, hit Dr. Barry up, get in his group or whatever, and ask him that question. Because if anybody else has ever had that question, they would have definitely asked him. Somebody has probably asked him that very question before. What about you, Dave?
No, I mean, kind of same as Larry. You know, when you first get into ketosis, I notice a bit of a bit of a change, but other than that, no. Yeah. So yeah, probably. I think Kip's advice is good. Get into Dr. Berry's group and check that out with him. Majestic Gemini, is grass finished meat more satiating than grain fed? Sean, what do you reckon?
No, I wouldn't say more satiating than grain fed. There's not that much of a difference, and a lot of people come to realize they don't like one or the other for whatever reason. There's a difference in the taste, and there's not that much difference in the nutritional value either. So no, absolutely, I would say absolutely not. You know, it's based on a pound of ribeye is a pound of ribeye, or vice versa, whatever. The cows are extremely well at siphoning out the nutrients that we don't need that are in their food from putting it into the meat that comes to us. So you don't have to worry about that. But also, you know, just there you go. You got anything else to add to that, Larry?
I've only tried grass finished beef one time. Cassie and I had it as ground beef.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't like it. We didn't like the taste at all. So, you know, I haven't eaten enough of it to give you my opinion if it's satiating or not.
Mm-hmm.
We usually just find what's on sale. You know, like when it comes to ground beef, we get the tubes you get at Walmart, and you know, I mean that's what we go with. So I'm not the person to ask about grass finish. We're more of a budget carnivore diet. So how about you, Kip? You eating the expensive stuff?
For me, grain fed is the best. For taste wise, I prefer the taste of grain fed. Now,
Right.
I think that grass fed is going to be a little bit healthier, maybe just a few percent healthier, but not enough to offset the price, because a lot of times grass fed is a lot more expensive, but it's only a little bit better. But I like, if I'm gonna make a ribeye, like, I prefer grain finished, because I've had a good bit of both over the years, and for me, every time I've ever got like a grass finished ribeye, it's leaner, and you might get some fat in there because it's a ribeye or whatever, but for me, grass finished meat tends to be leaner than the other, because I mean they're not feeding them all the grains and stuff like that, so the cow's not getting fattened up, and so and I really do believe the extra fat or whatever. I mean, yes, that cow might be a little less healthy, but I mean, a lot of people are eating their meat for flavor, and you've always heard people say fat is flavor. So I just prefer grain finish. Plus, I prefer the price of grain finish and the taste of it. But I mean, get whatever you can afford. I think grass fed is healthier a little bit, but I don't know if it's worth the price. What about you, Dave?
Yeah, I haven't had enough grass-fed beef to be able to make any kind of judgment. You know, grain-fed is so common in Japan because for them, for the Japanese people, like taste is much more important than anything else, and they just like the taste. So yeah, I don't really have an opinion, but I do have a note from Homesick Buckeye about the pea question. If your pee smells like your meat, you need to fire your cook.
Oh,
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That is good.
Thanks for the super chat and the laugh. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, and I've lost the comment now, but someone commented before during the P discussion. Someone said Dr. Chaffee leaves, and this channel just gets weirder.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that was Jammer Travels.
that's hilarious, man.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing. I was like, man, this went south fast right here, boys. Oh my goodness.
be afraid if your pee smells like Pop-Tarts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
You're mine.
guys, we need to start wrapping things up. So I just from me, I just wanted to say thanks to everyone. I'm really enjoying collaborating with you all, and thank you to everyone that watched and commented and had questions. Sorry we didn't necessarily get to all the questions today, but thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Larry, did you want to say some final words?
Oh, absolutely. It was an honor to be here with you guys. I had a great time. And to everybody out there, if you're struggling, just keep eating your meat. Remember, no sugar, no carbs, no cheating. Don't cheat. Stay on track. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Don't cheat, just eat the meat.
Yeah,
Thanks,
exactly.
Sean.
Yeah, man. Like I said, same thing, guys. I appreciate all you guys being here every time. I love this community. I love what you guys are doing. I love these guys on the screen, man. I enjoy getting together, each one in different ways. It's always something that I look forward to every week, even though I know sometimes things go awry and my technology goes crazy and all those kinds of things, man, I wouldn't miss it for the world. So I appreciate you guys being here today, being on time and doing the thing. I appreciate all the people, all the super chats, all the the regulars that jump in and answer stuff and handle stuff. Man, you guys are amazing. And this is it's just building and building there. And there's so many people who are coming to this way, and I've been contacted, as I say ad nauseum, by so many people who are hurting, who are saying, "Hey, man, you gave me inspiration. Hey, you gave me hope," and that is amazing. And it's not just me that makes it happen, because without this platform and you guys coming and watching and liking and sharing and working with these guys, it wouldn't be able to just keep going on. So I appreciate that, and I love you guys, and I will look forward to seeing you guys next time. And I want to have this crew right here back on like it is together more. So we'll look forward to that. Leave in the comments if you enjoyed tonight, what you learned, what you didn't like. Leave me a middle finger, whatever you want to do. It's all up to you, man. But leave something in the comments and let me know what you think. And Kip, what you got, brother?
No, I was just gonna say that it was great to have Larry from Carnivore Quest on, because like when I first started Carnivore, theirs was one of the first channels that I ever watched. So it's really cool to be in the same conversation with them tonight. And I wish Cassie could have been here, but I see her in the chats, and I'll get to talk to her at some point, I'm sure, because they're going to be doing something up pretty soon that I'm going to get to go to if everything works out. But for me to leave something with everybody, my heart's at the people that are struggling with their weight, because I'm in the middle of that battle and I'm working on that each and every day. So I have that thing on that sign on the wall. Y'all probably can't read it right now, but it says the fat in my family tree ends with me. And so if you're struggling with losing weight and you're on carnivore, don't give up. Just keep going, because you can be the next person that ends the obesity that's in your family. And so I tell myself that all the time. The fat in my family tree ends with me. So just be encouraged and hang in there, and know that there's a lot of us. Like Sean's lost so much weight, and so this works. Just give it time, and just watch what happens, and it'll change your life. What about you, Dave?
Yeah, look, just to echo all your comments, love working with all you guys, love getting together. And yeah, I really appreciate. A year ago, I would never have thought that I'd be in a situation where I could just like turn a webcam on and all these people would be interested in anything I had to say at all. So, it's a fantastic community, and I'm very lucky to be a part of it. So thank you all.
Absolutely. Thank you,
Awesome.
bro.
Yeah. And we'll see you all soon. So thank you very much, guys.
Take care.
Cheers.